Hello and welcome to a video on my first 5 pick players when Supercoach opens. So off season pretty much over, I think. Supercoach, the team picker should open. I think this is a paid version, by the way. So if you have Supercoach Gold, you'll be able to access that. If not, I think you got to wait till late January. But any day now, the Supercoach picker will open. A few hints have been, well, it's been hinted at on Twitter. So hopefully Friday, I'm not too sure, but if not, next few days. So very exciting, and yeah, can't wait to play around with it. So that should be good. But yes, my first 5 pick players. So when I'm picking players that, the most must-have players, I think at this point of the year, a lot of water to go under the bridge, but players that present value are going to be most important, because the more value they present, the more, I guess, must-have they're going to be, because the more you're going to lose out on by not having them. So at number 5, I have Jack Steele. And also this list is not including Will Ashcroft, just because I feel like he's an obvious one. The number 1 draft, I think he went number 2 actually, in the draft. So number 5 is Jack Steele. So you look at that price range, I think it'll be roughly 600k in the midfield. Oliver, Laird, Took, very expensive. I probably wouldn't go more than one of those guys, but you look for a little bit of value, for what they can do, and you see Walsh, you see Parrish, you see Jack Steele. I think maybe Brayshaw might be around the mark as well. Walsh is injured. Parrish is fine. I've seen a few people keen on Parrish, but I prefer Jack Steele. So Ross Lyons made a few comments on the new game style of St Kilda, something they're working on at the moment, but feels like it might not be super fantasy friendly, but we never know. We'll look at that during the preseason, but I don't think that'll affect Steele too much. So very excited to pick Jack Steele, and no guarantee to go 120 plus again, but he can do better than, I think he's priced at about 110. He can do better than that, and if he goes 110, that's not the worst thing in the world. It's not what we want, but I feel very low downside and pretty good upside with Jack Steele. So had the injury game as well last year. He's pretty durable. Had a few knocks here and there, but still a solid pick, solid player. And yeah, the Ross Lyon, maybe the whole group's rejuvenated. Although I don't think Steele's motivation will waver. I think he's always been very highly motivated, no matter the circumstances. But maybe the team starts winning a bit more. Maybe that's a bit better. So Jack Steele is my number 5. Now my number 4. Is this guy's on my must-have list every, I think, 3 years in a row. I've started him. I can't remember a year where I haven't started one Joshua Dunkley, now at the Brisbane Lions. So no longer a dogs mid. I'll still refer to him as a dogs mid, though. I can't help it. But yeah, he's been so good to us for fantasy over the last few years. We think it feels like he's trying to get out of the dogs, mostly for his own career sake, for a few years now. Should be the number 2 mid behind Lachie Neale. Potentially could overtake him, just because Neale's, I think he's about 30 now, but that's probably a bit disrespectful to the great Lachie Neale. So he'll be, the 1 or 2 mid, and the tag will still go to Lachie Neale. You would think that poor Lachie Neale gets tagged every bloody week. So Dunkley's that big-bodied mid. Lions probably plays VFL, and forward available roughly 580k. It seems like a very easy pick, and we know that he's capable of 125, 130. It's pretty hard to do. He did that. I think he did about 125, 127, something like that. I believe it was 2019 or 2020. He played half forward for the first few weeks, and he went in the midfield and scored massive. So didn't really get that last year. Had decent mid time, but enough to still be a mid forward. Not much else to say on Josh Dunkley. Lock him in at F1 and move on from there. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he goes at the Lions. Like what's his ceiling there? But that'll be interesting. So my number 3 first pick is one Toby McLean, forward eligible. I don't have the prices, unfortunately, but I suspect he'll be low 200s, and it just depends on how the Herald Sun decide to price him. So he's basically missed 2 years, and when players miss 2 years, I think when Jago Mira missed 2 years, he got about a 40% discount, and it's the same for another player that I'll mention soon. So hopefully that applies to Toby McLean. But you had a rotten luck with ACLs, but We saw that in the final in round, or not round, what is it? First elimination final, they put Toby McLean around the ball, and Luke Beveridge suggested during the week with Libba going down with, I think, was a hamstring. They said, who will fill that void? They did throw Baz in there, but Baz's CBAs were up in that game. Actually cost him forward eligibility, it sounds like. He just missed out. But Bevo during the week mentioned Toby McLean to go in there. So we saw Toby McLean, no CBAs, but up and around the ball, so he'll be very cheap. The first half of 2018, he almost did, I think, about 105, 110, something like that in the midfield. But we know that, Bont, McRae, Lib is back in there. I think Lib had a bit of a down patch back then. Might have even been out with his ACL or something. But we know all the names in the Dogs mids. But Toby McLean can probably do 85 plus with a decent role playing around the ball a bit more. And off the ACL this year, I think only averaged somewhere in the 90s in the VFL, but off an ACL, especially for a midfielder, it's very, very difficult to get anywhere near your best. So Toby McLean in the forward line, pretty sure he's best 22. I'd be pretty shocked if he's not. And he tackles a lot, he works hard, he's good endurance. So I do like Toby McLean. I do remember him copping a few knocks here and there because he's a bit of a, I don't know if reckless player, but he's a tough nut in there. So did cop a few knocks when he was playing midfield, but at his price, I think he's 1/3 first picked, if that makes sense. So my second picked is one Jacob Hopper. So he'll be low 300s in the midfield. I suspect anyway. Again, not 100% sure on the pricing, but I think when you play 7 or less games, you get some sort of a discount. It's not really clear to us, but that's sort of what we've gathered looking at a lot of other players over the years. Jacob Hopper signed for big money for Richmond. We see when players go to new clubs, they get a bit of a bounce just because they're at a new club, really. Maybe they're trying to earn the respect of their teammates or whatever their motivation is. So Jacob Hopper, big fan of him. He's done 90s plus. He's been All-Australian squad. Multiple knee surgeries in 2022. So he should be raring for preseason, should be raring to go in that midfield. So if we look at that Richmond midfield, Taranto, Prestia, Hopper, how much time do they give Cochin there? I suspect Jaden Short, who's another interesting one. I am a bit worried. Short's mid only, just on Jaden Short. I'm a bit worried that they play around with him. They put him at half forward, they put him on a wing, kind of use him everywhere, put him down back if they need him. I'm not sure they're going to give him a set position because they weren't afraid to throw him around last year. So what does that mean this year? So I guess Jaden Short's one we can worry about later in the year if he gets defensive status, but I don't think he'll get much mid minutes with the 2 new midfielders coming in. So I don't think Taranto or Hopper's CBAs will be bad or anything like that. I think they'll probably be the 2 highest, and then Prestia is always injured, unfortunately, but he should actually, he got through most games this year, but he's always a bit of a worry. So I think they'll be the top 3 CBA mids. I'm not sure what they do with Cochin. He'll probably be in there as well. But yeah, Hopper's, Taranto's a versatile, so he might have to spend a little bit of time forward, but I suspect mostly he'll be a mid, and then Hopper's the guy that he has to be in the guts, probably like the less versatile one in there. So Hopper for low 300s, and historically, if you pick someone in the around 300k in the midfield, you kind of want them to average 90-95 because people are always banging on about that. You got to make 150k. At the same time, I think you got to factor in a lot of the top price guys are going to come down. So even if Hopper only makes 100k, and I suspect he'll get to about 500k all going well. But even if he was only to make 100k, Laird, Oliver, these guys will at some point come down. I think Oliver's been hit 700k multiple times, I think a few years ago, and then he's come down to low 600s. So, I think Jacob Hopper is a very good pick, very good value pick. And with, look, I don't know how many trades we're going to get and all that. That might even not be revealed until the actual picker opens in January, but value is just so important. If we saw that last year, if you didn't have the value picks, it really killed you. So I see a lot of upside in Hopper, and for me, he'll be one of my second first picked. And now my number 1 picked, the first pick player that I'll pick in Supercoach 2023. Now I said in Discord, I asked everyone, I think I got about 30 replies, who are your top 5 first picked, and not one person had this player. So my first pick player is Connor McKenna from Brisbane. So you might be thinking, Connor McKenna, you don't even know if he's going to play defense. Well, I suspect he will play defense. I don't even know his price. I assume it'll be low 200s. If the same, because he's missed 2 years, and when Jago O'Meara missed 2 years, he got a total of a 40% discount. I suspect Connor McKenna will get a 40% discount on his, whenever he last played. So that should leave him at low 200s. So could look like an idiot here. He might not be priced at that, but low 200s. In defense, we've seen over the past few years, we used to get all these defenders from the SNFL, the VFL come in and just slot into. I think we had Tom Duday, Callum Wilkie, a few others as well, mature ages. I think Sam Collins 1 year was okay, but it seems like it's dried up the past few years, and we're really struggling in defense. And defense is a really interesting topic this year because there's all these hype. We've never had this many high-priced defenders. And then we're kind of waiting for rookies and mid prices to show up. And for me, Connor McKenna has gone, apparently he's doing really well on the track, which is good. And it would shock me if he doesn't get a halfback role, because I think that's what Brisbane have needed, speed of halfback. And that's been documented through commentary in the media for, 2 years now. So I suspect Connor McKenna, he will help stabilize our defense. He'll make a bit of money. He's averaged 80 odd at halfback before. I think he can do that. And at his price, hopefully 200k or so. For me, he's my first pick because we should have a lot of mid-price options in the midfield and in the forward line. Ruck's probably not. We'll see. But in defense, it's looking really lackluster at the moment. But again, for a whole preseason to go. The other one is Jack Bowes. I'm not saying he'll be in my starting team, but not my first pick or anything. But a little bit unsure on Jack Bowes, but. Just looking at the landscape of the defense, what else are we going to do? Are we going to pay massive for these guys? Are we going to go slightly speculative? A few people in the Discord, do they want Hayden Young? Do they want Dacos? I'm a Dacos man, and I don't want to start two of those guys, just one. So I'm probably going to be on the Dacos train. Looking for value is going to be very difficult in defense, and for me, the one that presents the most amount of value in defense is clearly Connor McKenna. So for that reason, he's my first pick, Connor McKenna. And that'll be it for me. Whole bunch of other players I want to pick. So I think I've swapped I've swapped McRae for Bont, I think, in my starting team. I've loaded up on expensive defenders. I'll try and explain that. Ideally, you'd want to pick value in defense, but if it's not there, well, what else do you do? So really excited to discuss the defensive line this year. And I'm a little bit, I'll be critical of a few of the rookies, like Wilmot and Chesser. I'm not really sold on. I think they both have their individual issues, especially with McKenna coming in for Wilmot. So, yeah, we'll look at that. Maybe we'll get Will Gould, who knows. But maybe I should stop talking about rookies in December. But nonetheless, thanks for watching. More content to come. And as soon as that picker opens, I'll be posting a video ASAP. I'll get to the computer, I'll run to it, I'll drive wherever I am, straight to the computer, bang, we're doing a video. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.